Chicago, where the fire serve cold, but the Wolves and the Hawks never shiver in the snow. The Bulls keep it running, the Sox run the South, the Cubs run the North, but the Bears run the house. True Chicago sports fans got their ears to the street. Any team make a move and they never skip a beat. And in this house, this is where we be. Welcome to the show with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the True Chicago Sports Fan Cave, this is the TCSF Podcast with your hosts E-Roc and Big-Z.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Episode 25 is brought to you by Noir, Ceasar, Villian Radio Studios, and Brick Clothing Company. As always, I am Big-Z, and I'm here with my co-host E-Roc. Happy New Year, E-Roc.
Yeah, baby. It's finally over, guys. Everything's back to normal. You can go back to your normal lives. Head out to the rooftops. Let's go out. Wait, what?
What?
It's still here?
It's still here.
Oh, hey, guys. We got a great show today. Things are still happening out in the world, but guess what? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A Bears victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars and the long-necked freak Mike Glennon.
Yeah, we made them look like pussy cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Oh, man. But, yeah, we have another action-packed show for you guys today. This is our New Year's show, so we're going to do a little retrospective at the end of the show, talk about everything that went down this year. We got a couple things to talk about with the Bulls in our Loop segment, and, of course, we're going to talk to Will Brown and do our 3-and-out segment about this win.
All right, man. I can't wait to get into some Bears talk again. How many wins is this? 3?
It's enough. It's enough wins right now.
Not yet.
We got to see what the Packers do tonight, so by the time this comes out, we'll kind of know what our fate's going to be coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, but first, this is The Loop, our Chicago sports roundup where we keep you in the loop.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
So, E, what's going on the north side? Any news? Any hot stove?
Hot stove, cold stove, cold stove creamery, whatever you want. But a little bit of talk about you, Darvish. Padres are sniffing around trying to see if maybe he's going to be one of the key pieces of them trying to win a chip.
Well, the Padres are built to win now.
Mm-hmm.
And their roadblock is the Dodgers, the national, the World Champions. Yeah. And then, the Dodgers dominate that division, and now they finally have some competition.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres have definitely been putting pieces together over the past couple of years. They look like they're getting ready to really kind of steamroll. I think if they would have had enough time this year in the short season, if they would have had a regular season, they would have been
more competitive with them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Padres have always been like the redheaded stepchild in California.
That's because of their ugly uniforms.
Hey, man, if Tony Gwynn can hit in those uniforms, anybody can hit in those uniforms.
You can hit all you want. It'll make them pretty. So anything went on the south side, man?
On the south side, the White Sox are anticipating the signing of Yoelqui Cespedes. So he's,
Yoelqui, I'm guessing, Cespedes.
Yoelqui Cespedes. He's the number 1 international free agent before the White Sox snatched him up.
Is he related to Jonas?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's like half stepbrother or something like that.
Okay.
7
degrees of separation.
Poppy was Rolling Stone. Yeah, so he can't officially sign until January, but all signs point that he's joining the White Sox. That Cuban connection, that Cuban culture is bringing in these players. They're saying, I want to play with my countrymen. I want to play for what seems familiar.
Yeah, I mean, and that's again why a guy like Abreu is so incredibly important to this team.
Yes.
And the thing is too is that you got to realize is that not only that, but it also brings in a lot of fans that might be Hispanic, might be Mexican, might be Cuban, might be Puerto Rican throughout the city. So you got that bond. You know what I mean? Like where hey, if he needs a translator and it's Spanish to English, bring him in. Let's go.
Hey man, hire me. I'll translate.
There we go.
Some of those guys are horrible.
That is true. There's a lot of backward stuff, but I mean, look, we were just talking about. I think the most exciting thing that we're looking forward to is going to be baseball season. So I'm excited to see these guys that they're bringing in and see what's going to happen.
And we still don't know what the start date is because they're just trying to manage the start day when spring training, all that stuff. There's no start date yet.
Yeah, and I think a part of that too is to see,
are fans going to be available to come in?
Not just fans, but I mean, do we have to sit here and worry about our players going to be able to get vaccines? Are we going to? And I think one
Are
of
they
the
going to be
next.
required to?
Well, I mean, more than likely, because they're going to be around each other and things like that. But I think one of the next steps that you're going to see is fans somehow taking like day of COVID tests, or at least having to prove that yes, within the past 3 days I have a clear COVID test, I have a negative COVID test.
Right.
I think that's going to be the step.
Can you imagine going through like security and then you have to pop out your phone in your My Health app? You're like, yep, I am negative.
Some type of certification or something.
Yeah, where they scan it to make sure it's real.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just the point we're at. I think. I mean, we've all been through 2020. This has been a wild year, wild season for every sport that was out there.
Yep.
But I think we're learning things as we go about what's going on with coronavirus, and we have a certain expectation of how people are going to are going to react to it. So you could see young, healthy people get sick and kick the bucket. You could see old people who are not that great get it and not kick the bucket.
Yeah.
And so you don't really know right now, but we're at that point where like, well, 99% and I'll be fine. And then next thing you know, you get sick. So I think that's the big thing is that I'm not saying that it's, this crazy thing, but you still have to kind of keep it in the back of your head and not go crazy.
Yeah, well, the only thing is you want to take care of the person next to you, essentially that. Whether it's your family member, a friend, or, the random person that's going to be sitting next to you
Right.
if you attend the game. You're required to wear a mask. It's not for your safety. It's for everyone else's safety.
And that's the other thing, too, is that at the end of last year with the NBA bubble, you had 0 positive tests because everyone was in the bubble. There was
Right.
no tests coming in that were positive, and no one in the bubble was positive. When they came back, they had something like a 10% or maybe a little bit higher positivity rate. So that's where you're going to start to see complications with players coming back.
These guys travel coach. They don't travel private planes.
No, well, I mean, I think a lot of times they would have to.
Well, now you're going to
With
have
what's
to.
going on.
Right.
But especially a basketball team's not that big. You know what I mean? So you can kind of jet set a little bit.
A baseball team is a big difference.
Baseball team is a big difference. So I mean, that's the thing that we're looking at. So that's going to be a big
hurdle.
A hurdle for all teams to get over. And that's going to make a bit significant difference on what we're going to see on the field too. I think that's what I told you before when everything happened. All that noise, all the noise that they were pumping into the stadiums. A lot of people were against it, but I'm like, look, I'm not staring at as a player. I'm not staring at the stands, but that sound
helps.
Right.
It helps.
It puts me in the atmosphere that I need to be.
Right, and just like a guy you're talking about, we talked about like last week or 2 weeks ago, Adam Ian.
Yeah.
He said that having the fans made a huge difference.
Yes. Just
So,
that you
or not
feel
having
it.
the fans, right? So pumping that sound in is going to make a difference.
Yeah. So what's going on the West Side, man?
Ooh, the West Side. Oh boy. All right, the Bulls. They're on a streak, bro. A losing streak.
I was getting ready to take a nap.
They're on a 2-game losing streak to open up the season, man. This young core can't get it together. They can score in bunches and then they fall asleep.
They're babies.
Yeah, they are.
They're
Essentially,
babies. I mean, this is a college squad going out there trying to play with grown men.
as it is, with no fans there, it does feel like a CBA game when no one's there.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to watch. These guys, have a 15-point lead and then give up 10 turnovers, and now you got a 20-point swing.
This is something you're going to hear me say over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
If Pat Williams is a star,
He did. Well, he is going to be a star.
they will completely run on what Pat Williams does. Because if he can be a star, then they're on their way. If he's just another guy who's on the same level as Zach LaVine, who is a 1A and not a 1B and not a 1A,
Yeah.
what they need, then I mean, like I said, we're out here playing checkers. And everyone else is playing chess.
Right. There's nobody. I'm going to say right. There's nobody on the Bulls right now that can take over a basketball game.
No, absolutely
There's
not.
no LeBron. There's no KD. There's nobody like that on the
No.
Bulls. So you have a bunch of C players and B plus players.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that because of how lopsided these teams are in the NBA, we were saying with last week, or we're arguing with Jay Soto about last week. Is
Yeah.
When I says there's probably about 5 or 6 teams every year that are going to be in the at least in the playoffs and probably in the finals.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we're two games in, and I'm already looking at the Lakers going to win another title.
It's Lakers
And
in
it makes
Brooklyn.
it boring. I mean, I'm
It
sorry,
does.
it makes it boring.
It does make
Because
it
at least, so I feel like in the 90s, you in your heart as a Chicagoan, you knew that the Bulls were going to win as
yeah.
long as Jordan was involved.
right.
But the thing is that at least every year, even the 8 seed was competitive. You know what I mean? Like they weren't just a bunch. It wasn't just a team of scrubs that happened to be in that place. There was at least every team had a guy that was at least a one or a 1 or 2 punch.
Every one of those teams had a superstar.
Right.
And they always
Typically.
had, and then they had a couple B players. So you
Right.
look at the Cavs, they had Mark Price and Brad Doherty and Ron Harper and all them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a tough team. We might have swept them 1 year or 2 years, or it was a couple games back and forth.
At the most, you saw when you saw like the Jazz with Stockton and Malone, you didn't see these teams with like 5 stars.
No, you saw 1 or 2.
You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. And a bunch of good role players. Now it's just literally the Lakers, Brooklyn.
Every 3 years, they kind of switch up. LeBron picks and chooses his teammates. I mean, and that's what it is. I mean, there was I can recall one time, and I'm not thinking about like the old school Lakers, but I can recall one time in the past like 25 years where you saw like 3 big stars drafted on the same team and play together. And that's OKC when they had Durant and they had Harden and they had Russ. That was like, God.
And they had a bunch of good role players as well.
That team had like Serge Ibaka on it. Like
Serge Ibaka was another one.
Like Adams was still on that team.
Yeah.
I think it was Steve Adams.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that was one of the few times where you actually saw like 3 potential superstars which is exactly what they are now.
Yeah. And built organically, right?
Right. And then what happened is that, hey, they started realizing how good they were.
Too many Eagles. Too many cooks. One kitchen.
Too many cooks. Too many cooks.
Too many cooks, too many cooks, too many cooks, too many cooks.
All right, true Chicago sports fans, it is time to pay some bills. We'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yeah.
Are you ready for some football?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's time for some Bears talk. This is 3 and Out.
All right, boys, another week, another win. It's in the books. We look like we are playoff bound.
Oof.
What did you guys think of this week's offense, boys?
I mean, I can't complain. I mean, it took them a while to really get hot, but once they did, it was all firing on all cylinders. 21. That's 21 points in the third quarter for the Chicago Bears that were led by Mitch Trubisky. That happened today.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. What do you say, Will? What's going on with the offensive line?
Whole line is lathered up, man. We went from, man, we got the worst offensive line in the business to, man, what are we going to do with James Daniels when he gets back? And imagine if we draft the right tackle. Like, we went from there to this. So it's like, just a couple of adjustments, man, make a world of difference.
It's those 2 names that we were talking about early in the season, and it's Mustapher and it's Alex Bars.
All day long.
These two guys that are experienced, that come from the same school, coming from Notre Dame.
Yep.
And they played together and they know each other. And Notre Dame is well known for churning out good offensive linemen, and that is what's going on right now. If you see like the way that Montgomery is running the ball, I mean, I think there was at least 1 or 2 records that were broken today as far as like many the amount of, it was 5 games in a row with 100 yards and a touchdown, and it was another. I mean, it was two stats, and it was like insane. And I did not think that looking at Montgomery in the beginning of the year that I would ever see anything like this. And the fact that he's doing it this late in the season, that he's starting to rack up these things. He just went over the 100-yard or 1,000-yard benchmark for the season.
Yes, sir.
I never thought I would see that this year.
So this is all due to Bill Lazor.
Oh, 100%.
He moved all the pieces around in the offensive line to make it available for a run offense, and for Mitch to have time. And so you see improvement in Mitch, you see improvement in Montgomery, you see improvement in Mooney, in Kmet.
Yes,
Jimmy
absolutely.
Graham is in the red zone.
Jimmy Graham is back because last time we saw him, and we saw him doing well, beginning of the season with who?
Yeah, Mitch.
Number 10.
That's right. Slow claps,
man. Like I've been saying all along, man, number 10 is not the problem. As he's what do you do? What you have to do with young quarterbacks, man? Find their skill set, and you just scheme towards it, man. Does Mitch still make a couple of boneheaded throws once a game?
Yes.
That just
yes,
like, what are you doing?
The whole defense is on the right hand side. He's like, let me throw it in there.
I just watched my second favorite team, which is led by Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
like just fail completely on 3 games in a row, and a
Yep.
lot of the times he was the fault, and he's been in the league since the 70s. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean
Exactly.
it happens.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw retired and Ben
then
Ben
they're-
started playing. Yeah.
exactly.
Any
No.
dudes that wear the baggy sleeves on their jerseys,
Uh-huh.
man, they've been around since the 60s, man.
What's going on with the defense? The defense balled out today. What do you guys say about that? And Roquan Smith,
Bro,
balling out.
That's my guy, Ro, man. I've been preaching him up all year. I've been talking about
man.
Roquan Smith all year.
Yeah, you get another linebacker that could run anywhere near as good as Roquan. You're going to see a lot of stuff that would concerns us go away. Like
This is the thing
Trevathan
that
literally
I'll say
can't
right
cover
now.
backs and tight ends, and
Oh no.
that's a lot of times, man. When you see anything exploited in the middle of the field, man, they're looking right at Trevathan. I mean, he's still gonna thump you now. Let's not get that twisted. But
No, he'll knock you.
yeah, his athleticism is a little bit behind him now, and it's unfortunate, man, because it's literally due to a bunch of injuries, and he's definitely not a spring chicken anymore either. So
No, he's been around for a while. I mean, he was brought over after he won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in Denver, and that was how many years ago already?
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but here's the thing I want to say about Roquan real quick. Roquan Smith was a number 1 overall, first round pick. I think number 8 overall.
Eight overall, yes, sir.
And he was picked by Ryan Pace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what this does is, and I'm about to do it. I'm about to swoop all the way back around.
Yep.
Because when you look overall at Ryan Pace's career as a general manager of the Chicago Bears, he has not done such a terrible job that I think he should just lose his job automatically, especially when you see this upswing of what's happening right now. Because once they have the coaches in place to actually coach these kids the right way, it looks like they can do their job. So what that tells me is that it's not the roster.
It's been a learning curve. That's
Right.
what it's been.
And I think all of them as a whole have a much bigger learning curve that they've been through, the growing pains of only being together for 3 seasons.
Agreed.
You can't build a team by saying, you didn't win the Super Bowl this year. Next, let's change everything up. And you can't keep that's because that's what we're doing is we are repeating
Revolving
this
doors.
process.
Got the revolving doors.
So
Coaches.
if right now everything is working, why shouldn't they keep it status quo going into next year?
I like that logic, man. My whole thing was why I was so pro get rid of both of those guys. If they were going to sink the ship with their egos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So somebody talked to somebody that talked to somebody, and now you see all these adjustments. Like, hey, let him call the plays. Hey, you may still design the plays,
Mm-hmm.
but let him call the game. You saw
Right,
that.
right.
You saw some personnel moves. I'm sure maybe Ryan Pace came down and said, hey, let's try something different on the offensive line, man. We got an excellent O-line coach. Let's see what he could do with these young boys out of Notre Dame. See,
Their
it's working wonders.
consistency starting the same line. I think this is either the 6th or the 7th game in a row where their offensive line has been all the same starters. So they have a much better cohesive unit. And don't forget that there was really no preseason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it took where other teams, especially teams that are more experienced, even Tampa, it took them a little while, but once they started firing, they fired on all cylinders, like they're doing right now, like they did to the damn Lions.
Oh
the
my
other day.
God.
That
It's the Lions.
but it
Come
was
on.
still great to see.
So to your point, you have teams that weren't all together. You had different additions to them. So when they played the Bears, who've been pretty much together for a while,
Yeah.
they were losing. As soon as those teams got their stride,
Yeah.
that's when we went on a skid.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Is because we went from 5-1 to 5-7.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's been such a drastic change because now we're back looking at that optimistic side that we had when we were 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they said, "Oh, this is the worst 5-1 team in the league," and because we had a lot of really good teams stand out for a long time before they kind of went on their downswing.
Right.
But it was a race for a while in the very beginning. Now you're seeing the Bears went from really good, or at least good enough,
Good. It was good
to
enough.
just everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong, and now they've flipped the coin again, win 3 in a row. Now their fate is in their own hands.
Just like Will said, somebody talked to somebody who talked to somebody.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so
And
it came
I
from the top.
have absolutely no problem with that because that's how an organization should work.
That's right.
Absolutely,
So whether
100%.
it was one of the McCasters who came down to Ryan Pace and said, hey, you need to start doing your job. And then Ryan Pace goes down and say, hey, Nagy, you can't call plays anymore. You
Right.
suck at that.
Right. I mean, it's a chain of command.
Exactly. So maybe they heard our cries and said, you know what, we've got to fix stuff, or you're all gonna lose your jobs.
Right.
Yeah, and then I mean, it sucks because it's like you've had some success. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's move your ego out the way, man. Like, you got a kid that if you continue to coach him up and do things with his skill set in this manner, and with the run game, that's only going to improve as you add better pieces on the old line and more weapons for Mitch in the passing game. I mean, the sky's the limit for the offense. You don't need this offense to go out and get 40 a game, even though they've been able to go out and get 30 and 40 a game.
That was one of the other records that they had. It was the first time since either the 60s or whatever it was that they had like so many consecutive games of at least 30 points. Was it?
Yeah, and this is all offense, man. I like
77.
I got to give a special shout out to Cairo Santos, man. What a find!
Stud. It's stud.
I mean,
what a
I
find!
had an affinity for Eddie Pinheiro just because we shared a name, but now I'm like, Eddie who? If it ain't Eddie B, I don't care, Eddie.
Eddie B, Eddie and Jobo, yeah, all those guys are gone.
Because it's like, since Robbie Gold was here, I haven't felt this confident in the kicker. Like when he takes the field, I'm like, oh, he's gonna nail that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's good as gold, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
good as gold.
Yeah,
the dude hasn't even kicked the ball near the uprights.
No,
in weeks.
And Parkey already hit a bar this year.
Yeah, every game he misses a kick by hitting a bar.
I don't know.
This
I
is
don't know
the
how that guy,
browniest thing ever.
I don't know how that guy even got on
he
high
got
school.
he got a job on the Browns. That's how he got the job. I mean, that's what I said. It was like, of all the Charlie Browns, you're the browniest.
Yeah, that cat is. I don't know. Let's pivot real quick. Cody Parkey's not welcome here, man. Let's pivot. But yeah, love what I'm seeing from the offense, man. Defense. The only concern I kind of have from the defense, man, is pass rush. I am I'm still a little concerned about the pass rush. Khalil Mack is still getting triple teamed, and I'd like to see somebody be able to capitalize off of that. You know what I mean? Like somebody's got to capitalize off that, and it hasn't been Robert Quinn.
No,
I didn't realize he was in the league for as long as he is. He's been around for a while. I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, since the medicine woman was on TV.
He's an old 30-year-old. He's an old 30. Yeah, he's a very old 30. Because I want to say 30. I think he was in the same draft as Cam Newton. Yeah, he's an old 30, man.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. So let me get now that we're talking about both sides of the ball, let me get your grades for today. What would you give the offense?
Today, I'm gonna go ahead and get the offense today, man. Anytime you're able to put up 40, go ahead and give it up. Even though we kind of got off to a little slow start, you can just see
all offensive points.
Yeah, that's 40. All offensive 40.
That's a true 40. Yeah, that's a true 40-point game for sure.
That's a true 40 pack, man. So anytime you're able to do that, man, offense gets an A. Second half, they knew what it was, man. Let's step on the gas. These dudes shouldn't even be on the field with us. Let's go.
They finally really stepped up in the third quarter.
Yeah,
and they put it to them. To the fact that where you had actual Nick Foles sighting at the end of the game because this is I want to save Trubisky from injury.
Exactly.
I never thought I would see that this year.
That's a great sign, man. When you're bringing somebody in to save, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you're a starter from injury, man. All around the board, man. O-line, everybody. What's
your defensive grade this week?
Defense got pretty salty in the second half. I think they got chewed out. Like somebody got the barking in that locker room, man. Because it's like, hey, man, this is the freaking Jaguars, man. I don't want to hear it. I ain't got much to say. Second half, go out there and knock some dudes' heads off, man. And they did just that. The garbage time touchdown didn't really matter to me.
No. So okay, now that we're speaking of coaching, give us your coaching grade.
Man, and I'm gonna be retroactive with this one, man. Last 3 weeks, man, coaching gets an A for me, man. Wow. I'm liking the adjustments. I'm liking the fact that, you know what I mean, guys are setting their egos aside for the overall goal, man, is that to get to the playoffs. Because once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen.
That's right. And especially if you play the East.
No doubt. And this is definitely a playoff team, man. And we probably will already have locked up a berth, man. If like we said in week 3, We didn't like that. And that was an ego move. That was 100% an ego move. Pulling Mitch.
That's why so badly I really want to see. I really wish we could just rewind and make that move. Keep Trubisky, change out to the laser show just at that moment, because I feel like that right there, this season would be so different from that losing streak that it just feels unnecessary.
Well, even if you go 500 with those 6 games, you're 11-4.
Yeah.
You're 11-4.
And you're chasing Green Bay for first place.
And I mean, that's frustrating. That line stings even more now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but just
and it's crazy. I looked at the schedule this year and I said, look, man, if guys, really, do their thing and on the coaching staff and we can stay healthy, this is an 11-win team. And my brother thought I was nuts. He was like, 11 wins? I don't see anything but 8 and 8. And I said, no, this was an 11-win team, man. I said, you got a nice couple breaks in the schedule, in the beginning and the end of the schedule, where you could run up some nice wins. And then they snuck a couple of wins, like they snuck the Tampa win in there, so like there was some opportunities.
And that was that stepping stone game that we really thought was going to be the one that launched them.
Yeah, that was the game where you're like, oh, cool. Now we can just keep going past these other teams that are garbage. We'll cruise against. We start playing Green Bay and these other tough teams.
Without a doubt.
That Foles era was our learning curve. It was a learning curve for Pace. It was a learning curve for Trubisky, because he got to learn from watching.
Well, it's also learning. I mean, Nagy like, oh crap! I guess I made the bad move, and I better take care of this before time runs out on me completely.
Exactly.
And at least he wasn't just foolish enough to just let it be.
Right.
And I will say this about Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace said, "Okay, coach, I'm riding with you, man. I'm gonna sink or swim with you. We're gonna go out here and give this dude $20 million a year." But I'm glad he also decided to say, "Hey, man, this dude sucks. We have to go back to Mitch and hand over that clipboard."
That's when I'm talking about Pace. That's the other thing, is that we want him to just. He struggled with finding a quarterback, but I think still to this day, when they drafted Mitch off of what potential they saw, and then they just did not use him properly. That's everyone's fault. That's not the quarterback's fault. That's not the coach's fault. That's everybody's fault. So you got to share blame on that and figure it out and get it done. And it seems like they're starting to go in that direction. Right. So now we have one game left in the season. Everything's on the table. Green Bay still has to play the Titans, so we're going to take that in consideration as we go. But let's assume that Green Bay wins tonight. Okay. Do you think that Green Bay plays their players against the Chicago Bears next Sunday?
Nah, they're going to get those guys a week off, man. And for more than one reason.
That's a hot take to me.
No, man, we disagree. I think Aaron wants to put it to the Bears every time.
I mean, he always wants to put it to the Bears, but this
late in the year, he wants to go out there and embarrass them and be seeded by halftime. That's what he wants.
It's a very unique circumstance, though, man, because I feel like any chance you get an opportunity to get these guys away from the COVID protocols for a week and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's when these guys get in trouble, though. That's the time. That's the thing.
I mean, what I mean is, is you're taking less of a risk by sitting your best players. They're not on the field. You know what I mean? So if I'm the Packers and I know I got everything sold up already, I don't want Jones. I don't want Rodgers. I don't want none of those.
But you're thinking
I don't want none of those guys.
Logically.
Anybody
you're thinking,
possibly
you're
might
thinking
have
like a logic person, a person that uses logic. That's the problem, is that you're thinking like a person or a coach that should be using proper logic. Now you're talking about Aaron Rodgers late in his career. He wants to smash the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, man. But I also think he wants to be healthy going into the playoffs as well. And
I think
he also has
wants to do whatever he can to stomp on the Bears.
Funny injury history playing the Bears. I wouldn't want to chance it if I was Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think they play to embarrass the Bears and knock them out.
See, but that's exactly right. They want to, especially Aaron Rodgers this late in his career. He doesn't know how many more times are you going to play the Bears last game of the season with a chance to knock them out the playoffs after they've made this big swing back. I don't know, man. I think Rodgers is like that. I think Rodgers is petty as hell.
Hey, I know I wouldn't put it past him, but I'm also looking at the stakes. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I say. You're thinking logically.
I think
he wants that double check.
But I feel like Aaron Rodgers is so petty. He would rather knock them out of the playoffs than in the playoffs.
No, I got you. I'll let you. You got this one. Watch what I'm about to do to you.
All right, Will, give us your score prediction for next week.
Next week, I think the Bears go ahead and still take care of business with or without Aaron Rodgers trying to put it to him. If there was ever a chance to get even with those chumps, this is where you got to show and prove as a whole entire organization. And I believe the Bears come through 27-24.
Wow.
I
love it.
That's my full. If everybody plays, score. I got two sets of scores. If they sit the starters, then the Bears would probably win like 31-13 or something like that.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
with it because I want the Bears to win.
Either way, you know what I mean? So I'm good.
We're looking for Bears
over here.
And it's kind of weird too, man, because I kind of want to see this Jordan Love kid. I want to see what he looks like out there. Just on some weird stuff. I don't know. You know what I mean? I want to see
scouting.
Yeah, I just want to see what, like, holy crap, they got another dude in the chamber. Here we go again.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, or this dude ain't. He's like, what's the other guy they got rid of already?
Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, is he Kaiser or is he waiting in the wings? Like, yeah, I'm going to put it to the Bears for the next 10 years too. So as soon as I get my shot.
Not.
So we're going to see. We're going to see either way.
All right, that is our Bears analyst, Il Brown. Check him out every week for his Bears expertise. And don't forget to check out his podcast, Beat the Block, available on all major platforms. Thanks, Will.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Go Bears. That's right, baby.
The True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast will return after a brief word from our sponsor.
Noir Ceasar
Is the first anime manga company to feature characters of color, bringing a level of flair and authenticity to the genre as a whole. With influences ranging from Japanese manga and animation, Western comics, streetwear, hip-hop, and various forms of cinema, Noir has created a unique style that can be appreciated by the masses. Check out noircaesar.com for more information. We now return to the year-end finale of the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yeah, man. Listen, guys, this is our end of the year show. This is our thank you right here. I mean, realistically, we're gonna be doing Stirring the Pot. But being that it's end of the year, we have our boy Juan here. We're going to talk about a couple of things that went on this year, some of the blessings, some of the things that we've talked about, kind of, good and bad, and kind of do a little retrospective a little bit.
So what you're saying is that time again?
It is.
It's time for Stirring the Pot.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah. All right, E, what do you got to put the cherry on the top of this Sunday of a year?
this crap factory of a year.
I got to keep it clean for the kids.
Oh, brother. Please listen, everyone, including children. Just give it to your baby.
Yeah.
Give it to your baby. They love this stuff. So look, end of the year,
Yes.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Everyone drinks it. Some people don't like it. Champagne, yes or no?
The only time I drink champagne is on New Year's.
Yeah.
I'm not a mimosa person, but usually for New Year's, I am at a bar with close friends, and the bar provides champagne. And guess what? I toast with everybody. I give everybody a hug. I give the females a kiss. I declare that fight up because you like to talk some stuff here. So I like to have one glass of champagne a year, and that is it.
Every time I'm at a New Year's party and I'm around, there's a lot of glasses of very warm and leftover champagne.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody really likes it. Stop playing. Stop lying to yourself. You don't like it.
Females like it.
They don't.
You know why? Because they put orange juice in it and they call it mimosa. And guess what? It's Sunday fun day now.
That's not. I mean, it's like you don't drink straight whiskey if you put it into something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the same thing.
We drink straight whiskey.
That's what I'm saying. And tequila and all the other stuff. You know what I mean? But that's the difference between what they're drinking and what we're doing is not the same. So my point is that no one likes champagne. You don't like it, even if you think you. No, I like. No, you don't.
No, I don't.
If you like champagne, it's because you haven't found anything better.
No, and then people like to be status. Like, oh, I'm going to show my status.
You like the bottle.
Right, I'm going to buy a bottle of Moet. It tastes like...
Some people like that these days.
Hey, to each their own. It's
It's 2020, Dad.
It's 2020.
At least for a little while longer. But listen, we've had some great times, but we do want to acknowledge a lot of people that passed away this year just because it's been such a crazy year in 2020. We go all the way back to January.
Right.
And we started looking at Kobe Bryant. Yeah, I mean, we kind of go down the list of a lot of icons that came actually passed away this year. We look at, I mean, this is a pretty significant list. We look at like entertainment. You got Alex Trebek passed away this year.
Yeah, Alex Trebek. Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen. We had Sean Connery this year and Kirk Douglas. It's like this 2020 ate everyone up. I mean, a lot of musicians. Little Richard passed away. Bill Withers passed away.
Oh.
We also had a couple of pioneers in our world, in our government, pass away this year. John Lewis passed away, civil rights leader John Lewis.
Yes.
And also Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed this year.
That's a big one. She blazed a lot of trails for not even the women's movement, but just, social equality.
Let's talk about a couple of these sports figures that passed away this year. We already talked about Kobe a little bit. That was probably the most shocking thing that I had heard in a long time.
I woke up to that news and I was just like, this is BS. There's no way. And then it's all over every single
I honestly,
channel.
I thought it was somebody playing a sick joke.
Right, yeah.
I thought it was somebody playing a joke, and then it took about a half a day for me to realize, and it really hit me personally in a sore spot, because when I heard about how he passed away, I just thought of him just as a guy, as a dad, trying to get his daughter to practice. He's just trying to get take his daughter to practice, and essentially that's what happened. And it's just, they both perished. But I mean, that was heartbreaking just thinking about that, because especially the time my daughter was doing her own sports, and that one really hit me. And I was never really a big Kobe guy for that. I always thought he was the closest thing to Jordan that we would ever see ever again.
That's exactly what it was.
So you can put that Jordan versus LeBron debate to bed. Give me Jordan versus Kobe.
Any day.
Let's talk about some of these guys that are sports figures aside from Kobe. You guys, we've been talking all day about wrestling. Pat Patterson passed away this year.
Pat Patterson was one of the huge ones because, in the 90s, you saw him as one of the Stooges, but if you did your research and watched stuff on YouTube, you can see that he was one of the phenomenal wrestlers. He was a trailblazer. He was like the first openly gay wrestler, yeah. And he really was a producer behind the scenes and helped a lot of careers be established.
Right.
Most notably The Rock.
David Stern passed away this year, man.
And that's a big one. Without David Stern, they would mean no NBA right now.
Correct. Last but not least, we do want to talk about the player that we love the most that passed away this year, and that's Gale Sayers. Yeah,
Gale Sayers is one of the pioneer Bears players. He was probably the first running back that I was aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized that his career was so short,
it
made his stats and his stature just shoot up. And I was lucky enough when I was in the banking industry to go to like a charity event and that he was hosting and his charity was producing and so forth. And I got to meet him, take a picture with him, and he was such a sweet man.
Yeah.
And he was so excited to see me. And I'm like, I'm nobody.
Right.
And he's like, it's great to see you. Great. Thank you for coming. I want you to be part of, the organization and whatever you need, we can provide for you. And he's like,
I think one of the special things about being a former Bear when you're talking about the charter franchise of the NFL is that as a player, fans always hold you in high revere. And I think that especially a guy who had such a short career appreciated the fact that
he's still recognized. And
he's still recognized
and put on that platform.
Because the thing is that he really didn't get to complete his career. He didn't get to finish doing what he had to do. And, the injuries just took that from him. Now, we talked about when he originally passed away, we talked about him being like the prototype for someone like Barry Sanders, Alvin Kamara.
Yes.
Like this running back who was also kind of had a wide receiver's body.
Yes.
And could do it all.
Yeah.
I mean, and we love Walter Payton. I mean, if I'm taking one versus the other, I'm taking Walter.
Yeah.
But Gale Sayers was that dude.
If Gale Sayers had a full career, he eclipses Walter.
Well, I don't know about that.
as being an all-purpose player, I think...
Yeah, but you had to put that caveat of all-purpose player. If I'm going straight running back, I have to go Walter Payton.
Straight running back, it's Walter.
Walter would knock you out with one of them hard plastic helmets on with his forearm.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I mean? So Walter's that dude.
No,
but
Walter's the dude, yeah. But I'm saying, like, for the all-purpose player, the all-Kamara, Alvin Kamara kind of player.
Yeah.
You're looking at Gale. You're looking at Gale Sanders.
Gale Sanders is that dude.
So I'm gonna start off by saying thank you to everybody who listens. Thank you to my Commercial Park people. These are the guys that I grew up with at Commercial Park. This is my childhood friends. my Carlos Lopo, my Chris Cordero, just Walter, who listens every week. All these guys that listen every week and actually give us feedback. Help us out with the show in any way they can. My Northeastern guys, Patrick, Thor, the God of Thunder over there, El Penaniac. We love you for listening. Thank you for always chiming in, giving us your feedback. Everybody who just comes out. I mean, I know I'm going to forget some people.
And that's the hard thing.
And that's the hard thing. I mean, my brother who listens, his wife who listens. I can't even, I'm going to forget somebody, but I know that everybody who listens and also participates in promoting the show and also providing financial contributions, I really, really appreciate it. I love you guys, and thank you so much. This
has been a fantastic ride, considering where everything started.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, this whole thing started because of The Last Dance. During the Last Dance documentary, if you recall, there was a part with the security guard who was beating Michael Jordan at quarters, right? And so he's pitching the quarters against the wall, and he's beating him. So we had just started Instagram because we were in a pandemic. We were looking for more stuff for you guys to be able to see and do. So I had just started an Instagram, and one of the memes that I made myself says John Michael Wozniak, the only man who ever beat Michael Jordan.
Right.
Okay, that's how it all started with that infamous shrug. He did the Jordan shrug. It was like one of the coolest parts of the whole documentary. So I made this meme, put it on Instagram. I get a private message. Hey, that's my dad. He was just so happy that his dad was out there. His son contacted me and says, hey, that's really cool to see my dad. I responded. I says, hey, man, would you like to do an interview? Like, would you be cool with that? And I didn't know what we were going to do. I thought maybe we could do an article or a blog or something. And I says, you know what? We just really started putting this team together. I said, Z, can you talk to this guy? Can you do an interview?
Yeah, and I was happy to do it. One, because I'm a huge Bulls fan. Second, because The Last Dance brought so many memories back to me that it was just ridiculous to relive my childhood and my teenage years and so forth. So for me to connect with somebody whose dad was actually in the building,
there
knows Jordan personally, and so does he, because that was Jordan was a huge part of his life. So for me to be able to talk to Nikolai was an honor, really,
and it was great. And it was so tricky, too, because we were still, you can see now, we're still trying to fumble with some of this equipment. We're still getting used to it. This late in the game on episode 25.
Yeah, I mean, that literally was
I think it was recorded off your phone, maybe?
Yeah, I did, what's it called? I did FaceTime. I did a FaceTime, and then I had my iPad recording the audio.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think we had to do like a take two and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just the way it came out. So really, we want to go ahead and thank our guests. As we go down the list, you got Nikolai Wozniak, you got
Isaias Velasquez. Thank you very much with all the wrestling stuff. We'll have him back on pretty soon.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
The female champ, Jessica McCaskill, Caskilla.
Watch out for her next fight. It's coming up pretty soon. She's got the rematch.
Yeah, she was really cool. We actually got to see her in person, so we got an autograph. I got an autographed picture and a boxing glove of her up here in the studio. So, and then we also spoke to Jose Shorty Torres.
Oh, that was one of my favorite talks. I mean, this guy's so charismatic.
Oh, he was awesome, and just the way he told us his story as he went along.
Yeah, and it made a lot of sense because we grew up in very similar neighborhoods, because he was a little bit down the street, up a little north than us, but knowing all his experience was awesome.
We also had Gabe Ramirez from B96 on.
Yeah. I mean, we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting all this stuff going on. We missed a lot of audio, but we'll get that out soon to you. He was Lane Tech alumni, and it's always good to talk to Lane Tech alumni who's also succeeding.
Yeah, and in kind of in the same business, if you want to call it that, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We also just had Mikey O on.
Mikey O, the comedic genius, producer genius, actor genius. He's one of my, I want to say mentors. I want to say that. I'm going to say that. He's listening. Yeah. I just like the way he does business. He's a very genuine person, a very loving person. Right now, because of the pandemic, there's no comedy shows, but he's willing to help out the community, help out small businesses, because if you look on his page, he's going to small businesses and eating at their place and promoting them. And
he's fantastic at that. Since we had him on, I've talked to so many people who says, I have a friend of mine who I went to school with, and she says, oh, me and my husband were going to, I think Cuba, she said.
Yeah.
And she goes, I reached out to him, and because he had been there, we knew, hey, we just wanted some tips. He took us out to lunch. He talked to us all about it. My boy Louis Corona over at Alejandra's, we went and got some lunch today.
Yes, we did.
He was talking about how he knew him and how he worked with him. He's awesome. I can't wait to work with him again. Another person that we had on this year
is Ozzie Guillen Jr.
Yeah, there
baby.
you go. You've been waiting for it to announce that one. Yeah. No, that was a fun talk, and it was really cool to see the inside of him and really what was going on with Ozzie when the White Sox were going through their managerial search.
Yeah, it's a great experience to hear what's going on behind the scenes, get that first person perspective of what's going on behind what's going on with the family, the organization, and then him being able to talk baseball. He has his own show, Being Guillen, and La Vida Baseball, and they talk about all things about baseball. So he's a very knowledgeable person, and it was great to have him on.
It was a lot of fun to have someone that was so close to the organization tell us some stories about Jerry and talking about Ozzie and all that stuff. We had our friends on too, though. We had my buddy from the Vipers softball. We had Tom Geiger on. Yeah, he was fun.
Our hockey expert.
Yeah, because we don't know what the heck we're talking about.
No, we don't know what the puck we're talking about.
But here's the thing. On episode 3, our very first guest as a team here was our boy, our producer, Jay Soto.
Yeah. So that was a pretty good one because we're coming off the high of having Michael Wozniak, and then I reached out to Isaias, and I'm like, okay, we gotta have another show. And then the Long Gone Summer shows up, and I'm like, all right, Eve, we're doing this together, right? He's like, yeah, all right, cool. Who else can we have? And they're like, oh, Jay used to work at Wrigley Field.
He did, and it just popped in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And again, you got to remember, this thing was really in its infancy still. Even at this point, we're still trying to figure this out. So excuse the technical difficulties as we go along. But the thing is that we really we're like, all right, we got to make a show. We want to talk about Long Gone in Summer. Who can we have for a guest? Because we already had 2 guests at that point.
Right.
And I says, look, hey, Jay used to work at Wrigley when we all went to Lane. And I says, hey, would you want to come on? So as we were talking, I says, we're just looking for someone that can produce and edit the shows for us. And he literally sent me an emoji of a guy raising his hand. And he's like, hey, ooh, pick me. It was like, welcome back, Cotter. You know what I mean? Like, he came on. He made us a great theme song. He's been doing all our editing and all our...
He did the Chicago baseball song. Remember that?
He did, yeah, absolutely.
That was amazing.
Yeah, baseball, yeah. I think for the opening day, he did a song there. Yeah. He's been really phenomenal, and it's been a pleasure working with him. We've been friends for 25 years, so to have him as part of our family doing this has been really great.
Yeah, it really has been great. And it kind of really just started at the reunion.
Yeah, we had our 20th reunion for Lane last year.
Yeah,
we're on the Summer of George boat, and that was a lot of fun.
Look at that! Look at the coincidence. Summer of George.
Yeah, I know. That's what it was this year. But here's the thing: is that when I think about who I'm going to thank, I think about everyone that's involved here. I think Big-Z for being a part of what I tried to turn true Chicago sports fans into. We kind of grew it from the beginning because he was always interested in sports. And as we went along, it was like Zuazo Sportsnet. This is what happened on the Blue Jays today. And I'm like, all right, if I'm going to get someone that's that interested in kind of reporting what's going on, I'm going to bring someone in that I know that can do the job. So as we went along, I brought in Z, I brought in Mike Logic, who's the biggest basketball fan I've ever met in my life. I mean, he knows more that he's forgotten more than I've ever known.
Yeah, he knows the air pressure and LeBron James balls.
So we brought in Mike Logic and Ideal from Shine Native Entertainment. We brought in Brown and his company, Noir, Ceasar, and Villain Radio Studio. So, I mean, we're just getting bigger and bigger, and hopefully in the next year, we will just keep growing along with your support. We really appreciate you. I'm looking at you, Steve Martin, for listening every week, and we appreciate y'all. I do gotta give a special thank you though.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Kim. My wife, who puts up with us in my basement every Sunday, making noise, drinking our beer and hanging out and like just talking about the Bears, because she knows that this has become a passion project of mine and ours and what we've been doing here. So, you know, she's been really great about the whole thing. You know, for years I worked every Saturday, and I've been blessed this year to not only change professions, but been able to like do it in the middle of a pandemic when people are losing their jobs. I took the choice to leave one job for another, and that doesn't happen very often, especially when other people are just sitting there trying to find work to begin with.
That's very true.
So, you know, now that I have Saturdays off, my Sundays are locked up. Yeah. So, you know, she's been fantastic through this whole thing, you know. But yeah, thank you, Kim, for putting up with this whole thing.
Yeah, thanks, Kim, for listening too. I know you listen.
She does. She'll be like, you know that thing you said? I'm like,
oh yeah, I see her on Facebook. She posts all the stuff.
Well, she's got our shirt in her profile picture.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, y'all. Happy New Year, everybody. We love you all for listening. Thank you so much. You know, don't forget to check us out. All right, y'all. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year, everybody. If you like what you hear, remember to give us a review and 5 stars on your favorite listening app. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned as we continue to bring you more content when we go live after these Bears games on Facebook. Check us out, share us. Hopefully we have something funny to say. But we do love interacting with you guys, so please drop us a line. And as always, a big thank you to our sponsors, Noir, Ceasar, Villain Radio Studios, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to check out gritclothingco.com and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order. Shout out to Ronesh, who makes the beat for our intro. And shout out to our super producer, Jay Soto, who is on the intro. You want to start a podcast or have your show sound as clean as ours? You can find everything you need at jsotomedia.com. Check us out on social media. You can find us at True Shy Fans on Twitter, where our ultimate sitcom tournament continues into the new year. Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and reach out to us on our email. We do want to hear from you guys. You can find us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out the All Net Podcast with Mike, Logic, and Ideal. Brand new episodes every other Monday, coinciding with the NBA season. All right, y'all. For Big Z, this is E-Roc. We will see you next week for episode 26. Until then, be good to each other.
For the love of sports.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Goodbye, 2020.
Oh, God, please.
And now, a brief montage of some of the funniest moments caught on air. On behalf of Big Z and E-Roc, this is your super producer, Jay Soto, signing off for 2020. Thank you to my beautiful wife and my beautiful daughter for putting up with me, and all of our supporters. We love you all.
A man. That's a full-grown man right there, okay?
Yeah. Super Dog got a big fat hot dog. Lover boy.
Hi, I'm Alex Touch. Like, whoa. Please don't.
Lover boy.
I get punched in the head too much. I can't remember.
Rolling. Yep, that's on there.
That's real.
Hey.
You have a lot of incest.
There's some foes in this house. There's some
foes
in this house. There's some foes in this house. There's some foes in this house.
There's some foes in this house.
A few moments later.
You have a lot of incest.
That's real.
Shut your mouth.
Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos.
Show's over, show's over, show's over.